Good evening. Welcome to Creating Connections with Students Online, talking about Canvas. This is Pam Batchelor with Digital Teaching and Learning at the Department of Public Instruction. I'm excited to welcome you all tonight. We're going to get started with just a few housekeeping items, and then we'll introduce our team that we have with us tonight. So first of all, I'm going to ask a quick question to see if you can hear us. Hopefully you can. So if you'll respond to this quick poll question about if you can hear me right now. So if you can hear, all right. We'll leave this up for a few more seconds if you can hear. All right, so we do have a few people that said they cannot. So if you cannot hear right now, there is on the slide deck, there is a link in the chat to the audio troubleshooting guide that will talk to you through about, depending on if you're using a phone or a computer, about how you can connect. And then also we have a questions bar in the GoToWebinar. You can type your questions in there, and we have I'll be facilitating questions as well as my colleague Cami Nairn, who will introduce herself in a minute. So if you're having audio issues, please use that audio troubleshooting guide, and we will be here to help you as much as we can. One more quick question about if you can see our screen. So let's see if you can see our screen. Hopefully that's working well. All right, so it does look like everyone can see the screen, so wonderful. All right, so quick introduction. I am Pam Batchelor on the Digital Teaching and Learning team. And with me tonight, I have my colleague Cami. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, it's good to join you. I'm also on the Digital Teaching and Learning team with Homebase, and I manage the NESA's teacher evaluation and the Learning.com product. So I'm excited to join you for a Canvas webinar tonight.
And then we also have our one and only Canvas queen with us. So Christy, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, I'm Christy Barm, and I do work for Canvas, and I live in North Carolina. Was previously a teacher, educator, instructional technology person, lots of good things in Rockingham County. Been an educator for over 15 years. I have 2 kids, 2 cats, and a little puppy. So that's just a little bit about me, and I'm excited for you to join us tonight.
All right, so a couple of logistics questions and things before Christy launches us into our content tonight. You do have a handout section in GoToWebinar with a copy of the slide deck for tonight. This session is being recorded. Within 5 business days after the webinar, you'll receive an email from me, Pamela Batchelor at dpi.nc.gov, with a copy of your CEU certificate for your attendance tonight. GoToWebinar is taking your attendance. You do not have to sign in. It tracks via the link that you're signing on to the webinar. With your email, you will also get a copy of the slide deck and a link to the recording of tonight's session. So Christy's going to cover a lot of great content. It does kind of go fast, particularly if you're new to Canvas. So I encourage you to review that recording and know that you'll have that for playback. We do recommend our CEU certificates will be recommended for digital learning competency credit, 0.1 CEU, which is equal to 1 hour. You do need to follow your local process to get that credit approved, as well as applied to your transcript. That's something that your local public school unit has a process for that you need to follow. It's not something that we can do for you. Just keep in mind that your local PSU might have some additional requirements for digital learning competency credit, like they might want a justification or an artifact, such as how you're using Canvas now after listening to Christy and all her great ideas. So keep in mind all of those things, and we sent to you within 5 business days after the webinar. I do have to verify your attendance and prepare all the materials, so please give me that 5 business days. And with that, I will turn it over to Christy, and I will be helping monitor questions with Cami. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Yeah, so as Pam mentioned, this does go pretty quickly. It's a little difficult to give you everything you need to know about Canvas, and there's no way I can in an hour. I will say that with the recording, you could go back, rewatch it, pause, practice doing the things that I'm doing on the recording. So definitely take advantage of that. But I will do my best to give you as much detail as possible in the short amount of time that we have together tonight. So we're going to go over how to use Canvas for announcements, discussions, adding video, and how your students add video, and SpeedGrader. So Canvas, if you're new to it, is a learning management platform, and that learning management platform allows you to add in all kinds of things for your course. And especially in this time where we're all online, it's super helpful and beneficial to have parents and students all directed to one location to find everything they need. So even if you're linking them out to other sources, having one-stop shop for all your communication and for all your directions for students is a really great way to use Canvas. You can add in, digital textbooks, you can add in audiobooks, you can add discussions so students interact with each other, again, video, and you also can have announcements where they submit work to you. So I like to lean on the 4 instructional pillars that NCVPS, North Carolina Virtual Public School, has crafted, and that's because they have years of experience with online learning and they do it very well. And so they know that when you're working with students online, it's super important. That first pillar is that communication piece, just making sure that you have lots of different avenues of communication with your students. And so you want to make sure, and we hope that Canvas will help you to support you in that. One of the ways and the thing that I'm going to focus on most during this session is announcements, because I believe that just as NCVPS uses announcements as a daily learning block, that if you're just going to do one thing and do it well, use announcements. That allows you to give students celebrations and shout outs. It allows you to give them short mini lessons. You can, in an announcement, give them resources that they need for the day, as well as a to-do list and any other reminders and contact information. So definitely, using announcements as a daily learning block is a very powerful tool. And also we're going to focus on meaningful feedback, which does lead into individualized learning, because as you use Canvas for feedback, then you'll see that you'll have the option to give students personalized resources and comments and feedback on their assignment submissions to help them learn and grow. So again, Canvas can be that communication hub for you to send those messages to your students, even video. You can facilitate peer-to-peer interactions, especially using discussions, which we'll look at, because students miss you and they miss each other. You can use it to share student work and display class photos, and also provide that feedback. This is an example of how one grade level is using Canvas. They're all new to Canvas, or possibly, potentially, as an example, if teachers are all new to Canvas and they want to collaborate to create one Canvas course, add all students to that. And then the teachers collaborate to create one place for all their students and parents in first grade to go. I think that's an excellent way to use Canvas, especially for those starting out. So I just want to mention that as an option as well. Going to dive into announcements for daily agendas. As I mentioned, North Carolina Virtual Public Schools calls these the daily learning block, but you can use your daily announcements as an agenda, adding a to-do list, adding course resources, video messages, shout outs, and celebrations. I love this testimonial by the North Carolina Virtual Public School Teacher of the Year. She talks about how she uses Canvas to reach her students, and specifically says that she knows which topics her students typically struggle with, and she can provide that support and announcements as mini lessons to address those challenges prior to those potential struggles. So you know your students, you know your content, you've been teaching for quite some time and know that you have what your students are going to need a little extra support for. So using an announcement for that is a very helpful tool. I'm going to show you how to create an announcement after walking you through a couple settings in your Canvas course, but I wanted to show you that you always have access to Canvas guides that have step-by-step instructions on how to do everything, how to add an announcement, edit an announcement, attach a file. And as you go down, you'll see that there are lots of different resources. There's actually a table of contents, so anything that you ever need to know how to do, you can access that from the Canvas help guides, and those Canvas help guides are linked in Canvas. So when you log into Canvas, you have a help menu, and you can always go to search the Canvas guides. There are parent guides, student guides, instructor guides. There's guides for the app, everything that you need to know, and they're all just laid out really beautifully. And so when you want to know how to do something in Canvas, you can click directly to that question, and you've got screenshots, and they walk you through step by step. So just know this is Click, but you have the resource available to you. But going to my Canvas course, I'm going to show you that this is my Canvas dashboard. So when I log in, this is where I land. And so I'm going to jump into the course that I want to work in today. And this is a blank course that has not been published. So until you publish your course, students cannot see it. So once you publish your course, then students and parents who are enrolled as observers will be able to see the content, but you have some flexibility to start building without them seeing it. Before we add an announcement, because again, that's the first thing I want to do, I do want to show you a couple of settings that I believe are beneficial. One thing is when your students are in your Canvas course, they have lots of items on the sidebar. And so sometimes I hear teachers say all students are doing is jumping to assignments or quizzes, and they're not reading the content, they're not accessing the instructional resources. One way that I combat that is by narrowing the choices that they have on the sidebar. So we're going to show you how to do that. I'm also going to show you a couple other settings that will allow you to put your announcements on your home page, and also to help make sure students aren't doing things that you don't want them to do. So we're going to go in your course, you go down to settings. And when you jump to settings, it probably will land on that tab for course details. You can look at all of those different settings and options that you can choose, but what I want to focus on tonight are two. We're going to drop down to more options on that settings page. And I'm going to ask you, or I'm going to suggest you check the box to show recent announcements on the course homepage. Now you can choose how many announcements you want to show. So if you just want the daily announcement, the most recent one to show, then you can do that. If you want to have a couple so that they can really quickly access the previous day's announcement and to-do list. Also, if they missed a day for some reason, you can change it to that number. Whatever number you're comfortable with showing on your homepage, you can change that so that these announcements come up directly on the homepage when they log into your course. Secondly, I'm going to suggest that you uncheck the box for let students create discussion topics unless you are doing that deliberately. Unless you are deliberate and want students to attach or to create their own discussions, then I suggest you uncheck that box, especially if you're not in your course monitoring it very closely and receiving and responding and viewing notifications about discussions as soon as you get them, because I have heard from some that some students have been creating discussions that we wish weren't created in their courses. So I would uncheck that box again unless you have a deliberate purpose for having students be able to create their own discussion topics. After checking the box for show recent announcements and unchecking the box for create discussion topics, I'm going to update my course details, and those settings will be saved. Next, I'm going to go to the navigation tab, and again, this is under my course settings, and I'm going to go to navigation, and this is where I told you we're going to customize this menu that students see. So what we're going to do is these are the items that appear in the course navigation. These are the items down here that don't currently appear. So we can drag items down into the space where students will not be able to see or access them. They will still be able, if I'm going to focus on using modules for my course design, so they still will be able to access the assignments and quizzes and pages in modules, because I'm going to add all the content there. But just to make sure that we keep them all like seeing the resources as well as the assignments, I'm going to hide the assignments, discussions, and pages in the navigation. And I'm just going to leave home, announcements, and grades. Now, if you have a custom design homepage and you don't use modules as your homepage, then you may want to leave modules as well. I'm going to use modules as my home page, and I'm going to talk to you about modules in a minute. But I'm going to leave modules down here because I'm using it as my home page, so that would just be redundant. So I'm leaving home, announcements, and grades for students and that will be all they can see in the sidebar, and I'm going to save that. In your course, you always have a student view. And so when you go to student view, you can see that this is what students currently see. There are no announcements yet. That's why they don't see announcements. But once you add announcements, you would see it. But all of those things have been, other links have been removed. Okay, so I'm going to leave student view currently. And I'm going to go back in, and now we are going to add an announcement. And so we're going to go to the left-hand sidebar and click on announcements. And then I'm going to add an announcement. Now, I like to title my announcements by date, especially if I'm doing one daily. And I can give my students all of the direction that they need for the day. And again, you can include some shout outs and celebrations, some mini lessons, links to games and resources that might be helpful for them to review content or engage with content. All of that can be in this daily learning block or this announcement. This is the rich content editor. So anywhere in Canvas that you're typing, you will have these buttons where you can customize the way that your page looks. You actually have an image icon where you can search for images. So if you were telling your students good morning, you might want to use an image possibly of a sunrise. So let me just use that. I'm going to update that and put that in there. And I can even center that if I want to, make it smaller if I want to. So I can customize the way that this page looks using all of the tools at the top. So I'm going to start typing for my students and tell them good morning. And I can give them a to-do list. If I have things that I want them to do, then it's linked out to another resource, I can actually just grab that link and put it directly in the announcements. So here I've got a Quizlet set that I want them to work with. So I'm telling students everything that they need to do for the day. I can also record a video for them. So if I want to do a mini lesson, or I want to, just give them some encouragement, some shout outs, just make sure that, they know I'm thinking about them, then I can use the record upload media tool. It's right here. I can use that tool to record a video for my students. So I'm going to hit start recording. And I can record whatever message. I can, again, tell them, how much I miss them, how much I care about them. I can, give a shout out and a celebration for something that possibly somebody did the previous day that was just outstanding or exceptional work. I can tell them, talk to them more about their assignments and what they're doing for the day, and also give them any information that they need to be successful, including a mini lesson. And then when I'm done, I'm going to hit finish. You have the option of naming it, but you do not have to. You can just hit save. And when you hit save, that video is going to go into your announcement for your students. Now, if you have multiple sections in your course, you could either choose to post announcements to all sections, or you can choose to post it to just an individual section. Not everybody has sections, so that may not be an option for you. And you may not want to do that. You may be giving the same message to all students in the same class. But if you wanted to give messages to specific or announcements specifically just to one section, you can do that. You can attach files. You can delay posting. So if I'm doing this today and I want it to post tomorrow morning for my students at 8 a.m., I can do that. A lot of times teachers work on these announcements on Sunday nights and might schedule them out for the week. I'm not going to choose this because I want you to see the announcement on my homepage. I'm going to uncheck that. But if I were doing it truthfully for students for tomorrow morning, I might want to delay posting. I can allow users to comment or not, and choose any of these other options. But then when I'm ready, I just hit save. And now I have a course announcement. And when my students are on their homepage, they see that announcement at the very top of the page. So I definitely, again, if I were going to encourage you to do one thing and do it well and learn it well, it would be announcements in Canvas. I think that will be definitely very helpful to your parents and to your students. They know daily what the expectations are and the resources are to help them be successful. Walk through those settings. I also want to talk about discussions. So announcements are great ways for you to be able to communicate information to students. Discussions are great ways for them to be able to communicate with you and to communicate with each other. So discussions definitely encourage that interaction that they're missing. You can use discussions for virtual gallery walks. So if you have in the past had students complete activities or, make posters or do something and put them around the room, then you could certainly do the same in a discussion, but making it digital. If the students are making a digital product, they could put the links to the discussion or to their product in a discussion response so everybody could see that. If they were doing something on paper, they could take a picture of it. They also can record video of themselves, so you could give them some type of discussion prompt and they could actually record themselves answering that prompt. You can use discussions for homework questions and peer assistance. If you have pro-con type questions, you could definitely have students engage with in sorts of semi-debates in Canvas in a respectful manner, teaching them some good digital citizenship and etiquette that way, and having some really critical thinking going on. One resource I've liked to use in the past is Point Counterpoint on NC WiseOwl, where it gives students both sides of an argument, and I've asked them to defend one side and then respond to each other or respond to someone in the class that had a different opinion, but they had to cite text-based reasons for why they chose that particular side of the argument. So again, discussions can be used in lots of ways and can actually be graded or ungraded. So you don't have to grade them. They could just be that you want the students to do that to activate some prior learning, or as an entry event to answer an essential question or to pose an essential question. Lots of different ways to use one. So we're going to create a discussion. In your course, when you first get a blank course, a course shell, you're on this page. It's called the modules page. And the module you can think of, like the modules, the whole page is like a course binder or a file cabinet. So if you had a whole file cabinet full of all your paper-based resources for your course, then you can think of the modules page as that file cabinet. Or in each individual module is like a file. Or if you had a binder with all your course resources, then each individual module is like a tab in that binder. So this page is like the whole binder, and each individual module is like a tab. And so I like to organize my courses that way, and I like to have it be my homepage because that way students know right away. They see all of the things that are, all those instructional resources and activities are all grouped together in one spot. So we're going to add a module. You go to the plus module, it's a blue button. You go to add a module, and we're going to call this week March 30th through April 3rd. And I'm going to add that module. So underneath the module for week of March 30th through April 3rd, I'm going to add all of the learning resources and activities and things that my students need. Now I could add pages, which would just be content, or I could add discussions, quizzes, assignments, all kinds of things. I'm going to focus on a discussion right now. So we're going to go to the module header, and notice this icon is gray. Until it is green and published, students wouldn't be able to see it even if you had your course published. So you have a lot of flexibility as a teacher to work ahead and not publish content for students yet. We're going to go to the plus sign in the module, and we're going to add, and I'm going to use this drop down to go to discussion. So I have all kinds of different things I could add to my module, but in this case, I'm going to add discussion, and I'm going to add a new topic, and I'm going to say, I'm going to ask them what's one thing they learned yesterday. So that just gives them the question. I'm going to open that up, and they see the question. They would post their responses by clicking in the reply button, and then they get all of those same editing tools that you saw before that you had. But I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to add just a little more detail. So I want to let them know that they could add a video if they wanted to. So I'm going to encourage that by giving them that option. I may find that my students are going to share a video in responding to that question, not have to type it, because I really want to see their faces. I miss them. So that's what we're going to do there. Again, you could also change this and not post it to all sections, and you could just post it to individual sections in the course, or just, again, leave it as all sections. You can choose files to attach. And then you can decide, are you allowing threaded replies? Do you want them to respond to each other? You could require them to post before students see, or before they see the other student responses. And then you could allow grading if you wanted to, allow liking, and you could even add this to a student to-do list. I like to add things to a to-do list because there's lots of places in Canvas students get a to-do list to help them to manage their workload. So I like to give them plenty of time also, because you don't know about students, access to devices or access to internet, what their home accommodations are, if they're having to share those with, one device between multiple students, or mom and dad who are home from work. So I like to give them plenty of time to do things. I'm going to add that as a student to do, and then I'm going to save and publish. Now, again, I could have just saved, and that would not have published that item. When I go back to my home page, you're going to see that this is published, but students still can't see it because the module that it lives in is not published, nor is the course published. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to publish that module, and I'm actually going to go ahead and publish my course as well. So that way I have everything published, and I know that now students could see the announcement, and they can see that module, and they can see that first activity that we've added in terms of that discussion. So once I have added that discussion, again, students will be able to respond to it. We've talked about video. Let me show you how students, I'm going to go to student view. And so again, this is customized for students. This is what students see. You see a student to-do list over here. So you see that they have those due dates. And then when they open this discussion, they click in reply, and they're going to put their response here. And again, if students want to record their response, then they can click that record upload media button, and they can start recording also. So you can talk to your student, or the student can record their response to what they learned yesterday. When they're finished, they would save that and then post that reply. And then that message would be there for all in the class to see. So I'm going to leave student view now, and I'm going back as a teacher, and I always go back home. And I want to talk to you about a couple of different types of assignments. So you can also add assignments into Canvas for students. They can be, no submission. They could be online submissions. You could have them submit all kinds of different things, including you can do a Google Doc submission, where I'll show you how to do that, where each student gets their own copy of your Google Doc. You can give them a text box to type in. You can mark things as complete or incomplete. So with all of those options in assignments, you get a really nice tool also that's called SpeedGrader that allows you to give students just really rich feedback. So we're going to go back to my course, and I'm going to show you how to add an assignment. We're going to add 2 different assignments because I want to demonstrate a couple of things for you. So I'm going to add the plus button, and again, now I'm going to add assignment, which is what it defaults to. I'm going to click on new assignment, and I'm going to call this writing assignment and add that item. That just adds it kind of like as a placeholder into my module. I'm going to go click on that to open it up and actually add the directions for students. So I edit. Now for this particular writing assignment, I want my students to answer the Newsela writing prompt. And so I'm going to actually take that and put that directly into my rich content editor, into this box. And then I'm going to go down and say, I want this to be worth 10 points. I could decide how I want it to be graded, display the grade as. I want to do complete, incomplete. For submission type, I want it to be online, and I want my students to do text entry. I could choose lots of different options. Very often I give them all the options for whatever way they want to, but in this case, I just want them to type it in the box. So I'm going to do text entry. I can decide if it's assigned to everybody or just sections or individual students. And I also then select a due date. When I'm done, I hit save and publish. And now that assignment is there for my students. Going to go back home. And I'm going to add another assignment. So I'm going to go add another item to my module. I'm going to add another assignment. And I'm going to add this sprayer model. Going to add that item. And so I want to demonstrate again how you do a Google Doc Cloud assignment, and that's going to allow you to choose a Google Doc that you've created for your students to each get their own copy of. So I open that up to edit it. If I need to type directions, I can here. Now, very often on your Google Docs, depending on what you're sharing with students, you may already have the directions on that doc, and I do in this case, so I'm not going to type anything here. I'm just going to come down and start making my selections for points, how it's graded. And this is what's very important. This is how, when you're doing a Google Doc Cloud assignment, this is how you do it. For submission type, you're going to go to External Tool. That's going to give you a box for you find, and you're going to see a list of all the different apps and LTI tools, external tools. There's lots of words for it, but you're going to see all the apps that are added into your Canvas account or into your Canvas course that you can choose from. In this particular case, we're going to choose Google Docs Cloud assignment. And when I do that, it's probably for the first time it's going to ask you to authorize it, but then after you do, you're going to be able to choose from any of your Google Docs. And submit that. Now I'm going to hit select, and that's going to put that, and I know this doesn't make, this doesn't really mean anything, but once I save this assignment, so I'm going to go back again and put my due date. Once I save this assignment, then you're going to see your Google Doc on the page, and it's going to show you that students each get their own copy. So students each get their own copy that they can modify for their assignment submissions. So I'm going to go back home. And now as I'm going to go in as a student, and I'm going to show you what it looks like for the Google Doc. Now, typically, if I wanted to show you student view, I would just go to student view. I'm going to do things just a little differently this time, so bear with me for just a second. And the reason why is because your student view is just a test student that doesn't really have a Google account, and so your test student only won't be able to open up the Google Cloud assignments. So I'm going to actually go in and do something where I just masquerade as a student. That's not something that you would have the ability to do, but it allows me on this demonstration to show you what it looks like from a real student who actually does have a Google account. Okay, so I'm in here as a student. As a reminder, I get to see my announcement. I can see everything that I need to do for the day. I can go back home. I can answer the prompt, and notice that I already had a video there from our test student, but now this student, who is Christy Barham testing does not see that because she has not replied yet. So I would have to reply, and then once I reply, then I can see the other students' submissions. I also, because this content's in modules, get these previous and next buttons to keep moving forward or backwards. This is a writing assignment, and so I'm going to go into submit assignment. I get that text entry box. When I'm ready, I can submit assignment. I could even resubmit. And then I want to show you that Google Docs Cloud assignment. On that Google Docs Cloud assignment, you see now I get this. This is a embedded document your teacher's created for you. So this is just mine now. Once it loads, I apologize for the delay. Once it loads, I will be able to access that and work on it directly in Canvas. So I could work on this is my copy. I could work on it directly here, or if I wanted to make it bigger, I could actually pop it out to my Google Drive. And once I pop it out to my Google Drive, then I could type on it here. And I do not, so I can just close that. I don't have to share it. It's not good. It doesn't have to go to my teacher's email. My teacher doesn't have to go to Google Drive to find it. Instead, notice that that text that I just typed showed up there. But instead, I just hit submit as the student, and it submitted a copy of my Google Doc directly into Canvas. So I'm going to stop acting as the student now and show you what all of these things look like on the teacher side. Because again, super important that we're giving good feedback to students, so that we make sure that we're helping them to continue that learning. So I'm going to show you. So for as a student, as you can, as a teacher, you see that I see all of these, right? When I go next, here's the assignment. I can go to SpeedGrader. And I want to show you a few things in SpeedGrader. SpeedGrader is where we really are able to give students that really rich feedback, right? So it's not just a letter or number. We're actually giving them, some really descriptive information. SpeedGrader allows you to actually put the grade in, which would go straight to your Canvas gradebook. Allows you to, if you have created a rubric and attached it, you can use the rubric right there from SpeedGrader to grade the assignment. Allows you to add comments, so you can type comments, attach things as a file. So if students needed extra support, you can attach a help document. You can record, again, your either video or audio feedback for students. And also it has a speech to text recognition feature. So I know a lot of times I've heard people using those in the car line. And so when they do that, then they would be able to just, record their text or record their comments and hit submit. You also, when you're in SpeedGrader, if your students have submitted a PDF, a Word document, a PowerPoint, or if they're using that Google Drive or Google Cloud assignment, then you actually get all these annotation tools as the teacher also to be able to annotate directly on their work. So when you're using those tools, you can mark them up, you can draw shapes, you can use the drawing tool, you can add inline comments. And this is an example of a teacher who created a rubric for this assignment. And so that she could just click directly on those boxes, and all of that would then add into the student's grade. Again, students can ask you questions. When I taught for North Carolina Virtual Public School, I just realized how rich my communication was with students about each and every assignment. We had an actual conversation, and I was able to provide them the resources they needed. So again, giving that individualized instruction, that personalized instruction to meet them where they are. So it's a really great way to continue connecting with your students. So I'm going to go back to that. assignments. I want to show you that SpeedGrader. I showed you there. In SpeedGrader, I see the student submission, and of course, I just real quickly added some characters in. But as the teacher, I see the submission, and I can add a grade, and then I can add comments as well, including, again, I could even do those video comments if I wanted to talk to my student about what they've done. If I wanted to give them, some, celebratory news about how great it was, I could do all of that and then save, really trying to give some encouragement there. And then they would be able to see my video comment as well. Gonna click out of there. I want to go back to the course. So I'm going to go back home. And I'm the teacher now still. I'm going to go into that Frayer model so you can see how the students, what it looks like on the teacher side. So I'm going to go again to SpeedGrader. And my students submitted their Frayer model, so I see what they submitted. I can again use all of these tools to mark things up. Oops, sorry, I thought I had used my strike through. Let me delete that. Delete that annotation. I thought I was using strike through. There we go. I could have a text box to type in. I can do inline comments. I need to comment about something here. I can highlight or draw, highlight. Use all of those different tools for what I need to in order to give my students good feedback. Then I can grade it. And again, add any comments that I need to add for the student. If there's any additional comments for the overall assignment, I can do that there. So I want to show you from here. Let me go out. I'm going to go take you to your grade book. So now you see when I graded those assignments in SpeedGrader, it went to my grade book as well. And I had chosen to mark both of these as complete, incomplete, so you see the check marks there. If I had said point value or percentage, you would see the actual point value or percentage. Gonna pause for just a second to see if there are any questions.
We're doing good so far, Christy.
Great, thank you. All right, so I'm going to go back to the slide deck. As I said, don't forget to publish your course, because if you don't publish it, now my publish button's gone because I already published it, but if you don't publish your course, which is up in the right, was previously in the upper right hand corner of the screen, then students wouldn't be able to see that course. Also wanted to show you that there are directions for working with students on how to set up their notifications. Also, there are directions for how to, and you can share these with parents, for how they get a Canvas account as an observer account, and there are directions for doing it on mobile, as well as how to do it on a web-based version. I've included some accessibility resources because people have asked a lot about how to use screen readers and things like that with Canvas, so you have those resources. And then this has gone very quickly, and I know that, so we definitely have some more resources for you in terms of getting started in Canvas quickly. So this is a lot of what I've covered tonight. I know Pam's going to send the video, but if you're just really anxious and want to really get started and watch a video again, tomorrow perhaps, then you could certainly watch this one. It's 24 minutes and walks through a lot of the things that I've talked about tonight. I'm also going to go back to Canvas and show you how to find some training courses, including one that's a 38-minute course. Again, you have those instructor guides that I mentioned to you are accessible from your help menu, so you can always go to those Canvas guides there. There are guides for the Canvas Teacher app, which we didn't talk about tonight, but that's a really great resource for you, as well as using that teacher app, especially if you're on the go. Not that we're on the go very much right now, but if you are, or if you're using different devices and sharing them in your household. There's a resource for those of you who may have previously used Google Classroom, but now using Canvas, then you want to know more about that. There are resources for online courses offered by NCAT. They currently just started a session on March 23rd. They're 3-month sessions, and they have a beginner, intermediate, and advanced challenge. So you can certainly take those, and those are free offerings online from NCAT. If you are interested in grade passback with Canvas, there are directions for how to do that. And then all of the recorded webinars that we've been doing in this series for the entire year are linked here as well. So you can always go back and review any of these. So again, I've gone very quickly, but you can go back to August and look at announcements and calendar, and also look at the Getting Started for Teachers modules, course navigation. So all those different topics, that recordings are there for you as well. I want to go back to Canvas real quickly, and I'm going to show you, I mentioned that in your help menu you had a link to search the Canvas guides. Those Canvas guides are divided out by a lot of our different products. We have a lot of different products, not just Canvas, but if you're looking for Canvas, then you'll see that you have instructor guides and student guides, and there are even observer guides. It's really nice that the student guides are here, so if students ever ask you how they do something, then you could always look at the student guides. And you could say, how do I submit a text entry assignment and send them that guide? Or how do I upload a file from Google Drive? You could send them that if they were having questions. But then you also have the link to your instructor guides. And again, anything you want to know how to do. We didn't talk about how to just create a page or a quiz. You certainly can jump in and look at how to do any of those things. And when it gets to quizzes, it'll even break it down and show you how to do all the different question types that we offer in quizzes and new quizzes. We have 2 quizzing features right now, so you can see how to do all of those things. I also mentioned that we have another really quick course that's 38 minutes to get you up and started quickly. You find that from the help menu and then training services portal. And you won't get this page. What you'll get is when you go into the training services portal, and again, that was from your help menu, training services portal, it'll launch into a page that looks like this once it loads for you. And then you have all kinds of different resources to help you learn more about Canvas. And you can go at your own pace. Many offer certificates or badges for completion. The first one that comes up is brand new, and it's called Preparing to Launch. It's a 38-minute 6-step course that walks you through specifically starting your own course. So again, once you go to Help's Training Services portal, that's the first course that shows up. Then you have other learning pathways and courses, and there's even 54 videos for different things of how you do them in Canvas. So that's a great way for you to, a really great way for you to learn more. And finally, the last thing I want to do before pausing again to see if there are any additional questions before we end for the evening is I want to show you again from a student experience how important it can be to add due dates. And the reason I say that is students have a lot of different tools at their disposal in Canvas that allow them to really manage their learning. And this time, you know, a lot of them are navigating on their own. So as a student, when you're adding in your due dates, notice that on their to-do list, they see the things that they have to do. They also see recent feedback, which is really nice. They also, on their calendar, all students have a calendar, all teachers have a calendar, and they can see everything that they have to do. It's color-coded. They could even change the colors to match, you know, whatever, you know, color, that scheme they want to use. They can decide which ones they want. So this is the course that we've been working in just now. So they can see that all of the things that are due, and it really allows them to, and as they've submitted it, notice it gets crossed out. So it really helps them manage that workload. Additionally, they also have a dashboard, just like your dashboard, but if they wanted to, I mean, if you wanted to, you could too, but when you were on your dashboard, you saw it in card view. Students also, some of them like to do a list view. Notice when it's in card view, they also get a global to-do list for all their courses. Again, all of this is predicated on that you're using due dates. And also parents don't see things if you're not using due dates, if the parents are using the parent app. So really important to use those due dates. Be lenient and flexible and allow enough time, but it is really important to use due dates so they see what they have to do. But on the dashboard, students can switch it to list view, and then just like other calendar, they can see all the things that they have coming up and the things they have to do. When they're done, they can say that, they have done that. So it's color coded, and they can jump straight into those courses from there. I mentioned earlier about modules. This shows you how there are 2 modules in this course. In the one we've been working in, I only added 1. A lot of times teachers like to have a module to start their course that's like an introduction, has syllabus information, how to contact them. Right now it might be office hours that you're talking about. So as you're working in your courses, just know that you do have the ability to continue adding modules, especially if you're using it for that week design. Really nice that you can just add a new module, for each week, so that students know what is expected of them for the week. So to add a new module, you just go on your modules page and click that plus button, and then I would go to the next week and I would add my new module. So I'm going to stop there. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. And so I'll just pause and see if there are any.
Yes, so a couple of quick things. Can you demonstrate how to change the homepage, to a modules view or to announcements?
So unfortunately, and I really wish it was a thing, announcements can't be the home page, but you can change it to course activity stream. I recommend course activity stream if you're only using announcements and you're not planning to build in modules. And the reason I say that is Canvas won't allow you to publish your course and have modules as your homepage unless you have at least one module. So if you don't have at least one module, then you have to choose one of the other options. So you have to choose, either course activity streams, assignments list, or syllabus. Or if you have designed your own front page, then you can do it as front page. But again, this is grayed out because I have not designed one for this course. That takes a little bit more work than what we can do today in this session. But you can change it to whatever you want. I like to keep mine on course modules, especially if I don't have a custom designed front page. But then you just save that there. To get the announcements to show up, we went to settings and we were on course details and scrolled down to more options, show recent announcements on course homepage. That was not default checked, so we checked it and hit update course details. Are there any other questions?
Yes, so there's one more that's very uniquely suited for your expertise.
Okay.
Can you provide any details or helpful hints for writing in Spanish in Canvas?
So typically, a lot of students are using mobile devices, which they typically know how to add, accents or tildes, using their keyboard on their mobile devices. If they're using a Chromebook or a laptop, I usually, in my classes, always just gave my students access to how to type Spanish characters, depending on if they were using, a Mac. It really depends, really device specific sometimes. But my students, normally we would work on how to type those characters. I gave them, you can do Spanish characters. Usually with a Chromebook, you can change the keyboard. There's default language settings you can do. So just depending on what device they're using, then you just give them those directions, and you may want to provide multiple directions for, Chromebook, on a Mac, and then possibly on a Windows device as well. So yeah, just really, knowing your students and what devices they're working on. If they're all on the same thing, that's great. And if not, then they'll need to figure out on that specific device how to type those Spanish characters. But honestly, it's wonderful to be able to use Canvas for, teaching world languages, teaching music, teaching band, anything where you have to assess oral proficiency and or provide audio files, because it's so very easy to within, like, let's add a page here. If I had an audio file, I'm just going to call that audio, but it could be a listening, activity, something like that. Then I could just have them, or I could just embed that audio directly here. And I could do it again. If I had an audio file, I could just upload that, select that audio file, and add it directly into my course. I don't have one readily available, but if I did, I would just click that and it would allow me to upload that audio file. Are there any other questions?
Yes, we had Lane was asking that they have a entire grade level. Could they be able to use the same page for all students? They have a teacher on maternity leave, and so they wanted to just make it as simple as possible.
So obviously we always have to default to what the principal and or district expectations are. However, if the principal is agreeable to that solution, then similar to what I showed you, let me go back to one of the previous slides. And for this particular, in this particular instance, they created a first grade course and added all the students into that course. Now, there's a couple ways to accomplish that you could cross list, and that's something that your Canvas administrator, whoever that is, would have to help you with, but they can actually cross list sections into one course, and or they may create a separate course for you and add you all as teachers and add all the students as students. But yes, certainly it's possible and doable, absolutely. But again, that's up to your principal or district administrators, what their expectations are about each individual teacher teaching it.
Okay. All right, I think that's about it.
All right. Well, I thank you all for being with us, especially this late in the evening, and just really celebrate all you're doing. And really from a mom, I just appreciate all of you and know that you're superheroes. So thanks so much for all you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And just a quick note, within 5 business days, you will be getting an email from me, Pamela Batchelor, at dpi.nc.gov with your CEU certificate, a link to the recording of tonight's session, and a copy of the slide deck. So please make sure you give me those few days. We will make sure we get those out to you, and it will go to the email address you registered tonight. So if you registered for this webinar with your personal email account, please make sure you check your personal email account for your CEU certificate. All right, thank you very much, and thank you, Cami, for helping out with the chat and questions tonight.
You're very welcome. Y'all have a good night.
All right, thank you. Bye.